everybody, and welcome to the vlog for the week. Top of the morning to ya. So my son and I went to Barnes & Noble because one of the books that I wanted to read for the vlog this week was not available in my local library. I had it in my hold requests for quite some time and hadn't really been looking as to whether or not it had been checked out. It just tells me like how many hold requests there are for it, and there were no current holds, so I thought it was fine. And when it activated on the date that I wanted it to activate, I was like, why is it not coming in? What is going on? I looked at it, which is not gonna work for this vlog. I need to read the book this week and report back. So I decided, let's just go see if it's available at Barnes & Noble. We were out running errands and I thought, let's just go check it. So we did. And I was able to find it. I'm really happy about that. They did have a display, or actually two different displays. So I'm going to pop that footage in now and show you some of the St. Patrick's Day books that were available at my local Barnes & Noble. Okay, so we grabbed 4 books. So it's a small book haul. I'm not going to separate it in its own video. I'm just going to talk about it now because one of the books I'm going to be reading this week, let me grab it. Murder in an Irish Village, Carlene O'Connor. So this is a cozy that I, again, was hoping to pick up at my local library, but this is what, $7.99? So I thought, you know what, that's fine. I can spend the money and I'll put it in one of like the local little libraries. I looked on the website and I have found a few in my area. There's quite a few, but there's a couple that are very close to me. And my son actually told me yesterday that when he went to a buddy's house, he's like, it's right across the street from his house. So that's hilarious. It's very close to us. So I will be checking those out probably next week or so. I'll film those. I think that'll be fun. And I can drop off a few of my cozies and some other mysteries, you know, some other books that I have enjoyed, and hopefully other people can enjoy them as well. The book that my son picked up was The Art of War. His chiropractor had actually recommended this as something that he might want to read. He is going through chemotherapy right now for leukemia and thought that this might be something that he will enjoy reading. It's actually a lot shorter than I thought it was. So this will be interesting, and he's gonna gonna read this. I mean, a little bit of light reading, why not? But this is a gorgeous bind up. So anytime they want a book, I'm like, yes, we can do that. The next couple of books that I grabbed were on the buy one, get one 50% off table. And I'm always looking for titles that meet certain criteria, let's put it that way, for upcoming TBRs. Some TBRs are harder than others, and I am a planner. I have most of the rest of the year's TBRs planned out, believe it or not. I love doing that. It's so much fun for me. But sometimes I don't have enough books that fit into the criteria for the week. So, and that's fine. I know I'll find them, or, you know, we'll expand on the prompt for the TBR. It'll work out fine. But if I see one, I'm like, ooh, and if it looks interesting, I grab it. So this one is going to be slotted into an upcoming TBR that I couldn't find the 4th book, so I'm super excited. This is To Get to the Other Side. Looks to be a romance. So this looked cute. And I was like, yes, okay. So she's apparently crossing the road to get a chicken that was loose on a highway, I believe. So I was like, okay, sign me up. That looks cute. And this next one I grabbed because it was on that table. Buy one, get one 50% off. It was Too Wrong to Be Right. So it looks like another romance. So this year seems to be the year for me to enjoy romance, contemporary romance. So I thought, you know what, I'll grab this. Seems kind of lighthearted and fun. I looked at the, you know, I read the synopsis to see if it contains some tropes that I like, and it does. So 2 thumbs up. I'm excited. We'll see how that one goes. we'll see. So those are the 4 books that I picked up at my recent Barnes & Noble trip. Let's move right into the books that I'll be reading for our prompt for the week. So for this week, we are doing St. Patrick's Day theme or Irish themed books. And of course, the first one you already saw was this Murder in an Irish Village. It's the first book in this series. We have, and I believe it's Siobhan O'Sullivan and her 5 other siblings that are my dog is right outside the door. I'm seeing her sit out there. It's funny. They are trying to keep their family bistro afloat and keep each other out of trouble after the recent death of both of their parents in a tragic car accident. They're trying to keep the family together, keep the business running, and one of the older brothers keep him out of the bars, the pubs, staying sober. Car crash wasn't just a singular car accident. One of the townspeople was supposedly driving drunk and hit both of the parents. As this book starts off, that comes into question a little bit. And there comes fighting between the 2 families. Somebody is murdered and, of course, is found in their bistro. So, of course, our main character here has to jump in and prove that none of her siblings were involved in this murder, clear their name, keep their business, like I said, keep their business going. I mean, murder is not great for business typically, so they have to find a way to solve this case and move it forward. So I'm really looking forward to trying this one. They're all set in the same village, I want to say. There's quite a few books in the series. I mean, it's more than 5, I think. So I'm excited to try a new series and see what I think. Speaking of new series, I have another one that I found at a previous visit to Barnes & Noble. Like I said, they had a really nice couple of displays there with some St. Patrick's Day themed items, and I thought that was a lot of fun. So this one is Death on Tap by Ellie Alexander. I have loved this author in the past. Thought, what the heck, let's just start a new series. Why not? This is a Sloane Krause mystery. It's a Murder is Intoxicating, it says. So I'm pretty excited about this. This is a Bavarian themed town in Leavenworth, Washington. I'm sure it's her family's a brew house. Somebody's going to wind up dead. She's going to need to investigate. That's your typical cozy for the first book in a series. We'll see if I'm accurate on that one or not, but I'm excited. This will be another fun mystery. It's not really Irish themed, but we're going with the beer, which always plays a prominent part in St. Patrick's Day celebrations. So thought this would be good for the theme. And I only have one more book to show at this point because the 4th book that I wanted is also out at the library, but it is supposed to come back, I believe. It's any day now. I know it's definitely this week. I thought it was like Wednesday or Thursday. I'm waiting for it to come back, and then immediately I'm the first person that has it on hold. If not, we'll figure something else out, I'm sure. I figured I could read these first and then obviously decide what I'm going to do at the end of the week. But I do have a book on CD. I did start listening to this. The only thing I don't love is that I can't increase the speed on my CD player. I don't know if that's possible, like even in my car. I need to look at the directions for this player to see if maybe I can increase the speed, because I really like that when you have the audio recordings. You can speed it up a little bit. This narrator talks a little bit slower than I would love. So I'm like, okay, get to it. But I thought it would be good to have this so I can, do some, cleaning the house, dishes, whatever the case might be, and can be listening. So I thought I would try it. This is Leslie Meier, Irish Parade Murder. You guys know I have been catching up with this series a little bit this year. And while some of them seem a little bit problematic, it seems like it's getting a little bit better. We'll see how this one ages. I will definitely give you some feedback on this. I'm excited. They're so good for holidays. Like, the author did a really good job of theming these to holidays, and so it works really well to slide it into a TBR. And so I thought this will be fun. We'll see. It'll be a lighthearted mystery. So far, all I have is lighthearted mysteries. I'm sure I can find something else. Like I said, I had the footage there from my local Barnes & Noble. I could go back and get another cozy. Might be kind of a cozy week. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. but I'm looking forward to some great reading for the week. So I am starting with Murder in an Irish Village, and I will check back in with you as I read through the book. Good morning, friends. I have finished Murder in an Irish Village. This was a really nice, solid cozy. It was the first one in a new series for me, and I really enjoyed it. Really fit our theme of St. Patrick's Day books for the week. One of the things that I really enjoyed in here was right in the beginning, the author put in this pronunciations and glossary section, which was really helpful because some of the Irish names in here, I was like, what? And I would have been pronouncing them wrong, at least in my head. As I was reading through the book, I still kind of did. I had to really stop and think. It kind of made me read a little bit slower, at least at first. Our main character's name, I believe it's Siobhan. Siobhan? I don't know. I was saying Siobhan in my head the entire time. I hope that is right. But a couple of the siblings that she has, I was like, what? So I think that hindered me reading this a little bit faster, although I did read this quite fast. We have the O'Sullivan clan. There's 6 of them. They say the O'Sullivan 6 that are really trying to keep things together after the death of their parents almost a year ago now from a bad car accident where a drunk driver was involved. The brother of that drunk driver is convinced that he is innocent and tries to extort Siobhan and her family for some money to prove his innocence, and says that once they pay him, he will provide the evidence to them to show that he is innocent. Of course, they are upset because it's their parents that are dead, and why would they want to help the murderer's family provide the money to use for a solicitor for the murderer? James O'Sullivan, the oldest brother, gets really angry about the situation, goes out to drink, something that he hasn't done for 6 months. He has been sober, breaks his sobriety, and next thing you know, he is the one that is being accused of murder. And Siobhan and her family need to work together to find some clues. Of course, she's sticking her nose in everywhere around town, trying to prove he is innocent, trying to save their bistro that they've just been trying to hold together since the parents were killed a year ago. We have our main character that definitely is nosy. She has a reason to do that. She's a likable character. The murder victim, of course, was not very likable. So we have all of the elements for a true cozy. There are a lot more, but those are the main ones. And I really enjoyed the premise of this one, the setup, watching our main character and all of the O'Sullivan clan work together, see the love that they had. I will say some of the younger kids really annoyed me. I think that was the point. I really did. It was interesting. There was a comment on the back that said, if Janet Ivanovich and is it Maeve Binchy? I'm probably saying that wrong, wrote a book together, Murder in an Irish Village would be the result. I'm like, this did not remind me at all of Janet Ivanovich. I didn't think it was particularly funny. There was a couple of moments where I chuckled, but it wasn't laugh out loud funny, and perhaps it's my American humor that I didn't find some of the scenarios funny. I thought the kids were really kind of annoying. They would say the worst things at the worst possible moment, and I just wanted to strangle them. But I don't know that it was particularly funny in that moment. I thought it was a good cozy. I thought it showed the love between all of the siblings and how they were willing to do whatever they needed to do to keep their family together. There was a little hint of a romance in here. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I will be picking up the second book in the series at some point. I think I've already said that I have my TBRs pretty much planned out for the rest of the year. That doesn't mean I can't change things and move things around. Let's put it this way. For next year, I will be picking up another one for St. Patrick's Day. I could see that this would be a really good series to read around St. Patrick's Day, and I definitely will be picking up another book. Highly recommend. The next book that I picked up was something that I did get from the library. Now, I will say the final book that I had wanted to read for this vlog, it looks like it's not coming in until late in the week, and I've kind of changed my mind a little bit. I don't know. I'm kind of rethinking my choice, so I decided to go with this one. It was available at the library, so I grabbed this one up. I was going to read, I believe it's Love and Luck. It's a YA romance, and I kind of thought, I'm not sure. I haven't heard the best reviews about it. So I really don't want to slip into a reading slump. You guys know I've been struggling the last couple of weeks with some of my choices. So I thought maybe I should stick to what I know and I love, which is cozies. Maybe it's a good cozy week. Let's just go that way. So it's another cozy. So I picked 4 cozies for the week, and I think that will be good. This next book is Buried in a Bog, set in a small Irish village. We have, is it Maura, that goes back to her grandmother's hometown after her death. She had always wanted her to go back to this village. And so I have just started this book. I'm just a couple pages in. She has made the trek from Boston to Ireland to this village and is starting to meet some of the people in this very small town of about 200 people. So I'm interested to see what happens. There's no body yet, so I'm sure she'll be stumbling over a body very, very soon. I will check in with you all as I either read the book or finish it. Relatively short, so I think I'm going to read through this one pretty quickly, and I'll be able to provide an update once I've finished.
McDonald's, how can I help you?
Yes. Do you guys have Shamrock shakes left?
Yes.
Okay, can we get 4, actually medium? That'll be it. Thank you. So McDonald's had the Shamrock shakes. You grab them for the whole family. James has got his
try it out.
Shirt on. You gotta do the taste test.
Delicious as always. Always.
Delicious.
As always.
As always. I was worried that they wouldn't have any left because I have gone there years past and there's none left. Then we got Shamrock Pie. I don't want to drop it because that would be a disaster. From Ackett's, it's called, by us. We got a couple little ones that they're not super little. See if we can hold it up without dropping. James is my helper. There we go. Doesn't that look yummy? So it's got the Andes mint on top. So we'll be enjoying that after dinner tonight. Wanted to share that with you as part of our St. Patrick's Day celebration so that you can, drool along with us. Good morning, everybody. I have finished Buried in a Bog from Sheila Connolly. This is the first in a series, new series for me. It is a County Cork mystery. It's a cozy. We have Maura here who just lost her grandmother recently, and that's the only relative that she has ever known. Her grandmother's last wish was that she visit the town in Ireland that the grandmother grew up in. She wants her to trace her roots, go for a visit, do the touristy thing, and enjoy herself. They have had a very hard scrabble type of life where they just try to keep food on the table, make ends meet. There was no money for vacations, no time for vacations, no time for fun really. And so the grandmother saved up, probably over years, and put away some money for Maura to go and visit the town in Ireland that she grew up in. So she buys herself the cheapest ticket she can find. She plans to spend a week there. And when she gets there, she finds that the townspeople are so welcoming of her and just kind. She stops into the local pub, realizes that they are way busier than the meager staff can keep up with. So she jumps in because she has bartending experience, jumps in and helps them. She meets a large cast of characters that are there to discuss the body in the bog. There was a body found in a peat bog nearby, and all of the townspeople want to stop in to the local pub to talk about the latest gossip. She begins tracing her family tree, getting to know a little bit more about her relatives that she never knew, and uncovers another mystery while she's at it. The interesting thing was that this wasn't a typical cozy in the fact that she didn't have any real high stakes in this. So it wasn't at a place that she owns or her family owns, or she wasn't being accused of the murder or a relative. So that's a typical cozy trope that you see. That wasn't the case in this book. And I understand why, because she's brand new. She's a tourist. She has no stakes there. She didn't know anybody in the area, so it makes sense that we started off in this manner. I'm sure that as the series goes on, there's going to be a mystery where she is involved or, there's suspicion about her. But so far in this first mystery, we didn't see that. The other thing that we didn't see is a hint of a romance. which was interesting, and I kind of liked it because I don't want every single book to be the exact same in a cozy where, you know, I know that you have a formula, and, you know, I've talked about this before. So there's a formula with a cozy, but it doesn't mean that you had to have every single element to make it a cozy. So I thought this was interesting. It was good, especially in a week where I'm reading 4 cozies for this vlog. It was nice to see something different. The cat is on this side. Let me see if I can get the cat here. I've got one of the cats. This is Gigi. She's like, what are you doing? Cats don't like a closed door, no matter what side they're on. So she's like, let me out. The dogs are like, let me in. It's a whole thing here going on this morning as I try to tape this. In any case, of the 2 cozies I've read so far that are both set in Ireland, I actually like this one better, and I think I'm more apt to pick up the next book in this series. Actually, I was already trying to figure out where I could fit it in my TBR. So of the 2, I will definitely be continuing this series and hope to slide in a couple of books this year soon, actually, because I really want to kind of see what happens. I really like the story. It kind of leaves us a little bit, not really a cliffhanger, but things are changing for Maura, and I want to see what happens. So I liked that aspect, and I'm really excited to pick up another book, probably very soon, actually. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I don't know that I want to give it a 5. There were things in here that were completely implausible, just to me seemed way out in left field, and there were a couple of things that didn't exactly match up to my thinking, and so I'm going to give it a 4.5, but it's very close to a 5. I really enjoyed this and flew right through this book. So I'm going to be working on the next 2 books. My book on CD from Leslie Meier, The Lucy Stone Mysteries. I have that. I'm going to start working on that. And then I have Murder on Tap from Ellie Alexander. So I will start reading that one. And in between, like if I'm doing things around the house, I will be listening to my book on tape. So I will check in as I continue both of those new books. Hello, friends. I am back with my full review of The Irish Parade Murder from Leslie Meier. Might want to strap in for this one or skip it. It's going to be a rant. So buckle up. We're in for a treat here. I was not in for a treat reading this particular book. As you know, I have a little bit of a history with this series. I started reading it back in the 1990s, took a break from it for at least 10 years. It's continued. It's still ongoing today. This book that I read was from 2021, and so I thought that perhaps some of the out of date and out of touch comments by the author in previous installments may have been fixed or brushed up a bit, brought into current times. At least that was the hope on my part. Wow, did we take a detour? Unfortunately, with this book, yikes. I did originally have this on CD and was listening to it that way, but I found that the narrator read the materials just way too slow for my likings, and I couldn't figure out how on my DVD player to speed it up. I don't think it has that setting. So moving forward, I will go ahead and get the digital recordings if I'm going to listen to the audiobooks that way. I've kind of learned my lesson. I like to listen to it a little bit faster pace, especially with a slow speaking narrator like we had here. So I did end up picking up the actual physical copy of the book and finished it that way. Now, as I was reading through this book, I really started to notice some of the very hard-handed, heavy-hitting, I guess, topics that were covered in this book. And need I remind you, this is a cozy, and typically in cozies you don't have any controversial type of topics, or they're lightly touched upon, and you certainly wouldn't have a litany of them that are covered in the book. I'll go ahead and scroll the list because I started keeping track. That's how ridiculous it was becoming as I was reading the book. All of the topics that the author decided to insert into this book needlessly, frankly, it was ridiculous. I just kept getting angrier as I read through this book, and so I did keep a list of them. Normally I would never do that, but it was so blatantly obvious what this author was trying to do. She was trying to cover all of these topics and insert her opinion about them into the book. This, again, was written in 2021, must have been written prior to the pandemic, and so it didn't cover that, thankfully, and the author's stance on vaccines, nor her political views, which I was surprised, because every other topic that you hear should be avoided at something like a dinner party or going out with some friends. was covered here. And just a few of them that were covered pretty heavily in here were police corruption, sexual harassment, drug abuse, elder abuse. We had some DNA testing concerns that the author talked about. She talked about Black Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter and her feelings on that, abortion, religion. I mean, just some really easygoing topics that you would want to find in your typical cozy. It was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of topics that this author jammed in here. So much so that I don't even think we got to the murder until more than halfway through. And at that point, I just didn't even care anymore. I wanted to DNF this book. And the only reason I didn't was because I was like, hate reading this book at this point and keeping that list that I wanted to talk about with you as a part of this review. I'm not even going to talk about what the book was about because clearly that was secondary to this author's agenda, trying to get out into the public all of her thoughts on these things. And I don't know if she's trying to sway her audience. I'm not sure what the agenda was, but the mystery clearly was not. And writing a book for a cozy mystery audience to read a good story was clearly not part of her agenda. And quite frankly, I'm over it. I'm done. This has cemented my thoughts. I will not be picking up any more from this author. I do have one more on my shelf behind me. I actually think I might throw it in the trash. Now that sounds terrible. I'll have to think about it because I'm kind of heated right now about it, but I don't normally want to throw books out. But I am telling you, this has gotten me so fired up that I don't even want to donate it to my local library and like inflict it on anybody else. I just am done with this author. I can only imagine what the next book in the series talked about, because that would be probably right in the midst of the pandemic that she wrote it. And I can only imagine how she put her feelings in there for everybody to see. I just don't think it's necessary. This is a book that's supposed to take us out of our everyday lives and concerns. Books typically take me out of the everyday stressors and have me thinking about happier things. I reconnect with characters. I put myself into their shoes, their worlds, whatever the case might be. And instead, this just brought flooding in all of these heavy topics that we deal with all the time. We're watching the news or reading social media, and I don't need that in my cozy. So I'm going to give this a 1.5 star in my own ratings, but on Goodreads, I'm going to give it a 1 star. Even though I typically reserve that for DNFs, I would have DNF'd this book had it not been for the fact that I was angry reading. I don't know if any of you have done that. But in order to finish this review properly, I needed to complete the book and give you my full opinion on it. I will not be promoting the author on my channel moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, I have started reading Death on Tap by Ellie Alexander. It's a Sloane Krause mystery. We are talking about a town in, I think it's Leavenworth, Washington, where everything is about Germany and brewing of beer. So this was something that was totally different. I was excited to give this one a try. I really have liked Ellie Alexander's other book series that I just started, which I think is the Bakery Mysteries. And I will definitely be reading more of those. Wanted to jump into this one, and I was reading this physical copy in between times where I was listening to the audio CD that I had, so it was kind of nice to go in between the two. Since the one was so maddening, it was nice to have this one to kind of balance out the week a little bit. So we have Sloane, who is working at her in-laws' brew house along with her husband. This opens in a very unconventional way for a typical cozy mystery. And so if you start the book on the first page and you're a little thrown off, please know that the entire book doesn't go in that general direction. I was a little thrown off, and believe me, I'm not offended. I'm not easily offended at all, but I do know in typical cozies, you don't have any kind of sexual activity nor swearing. That was both of those things were present on page 1, but so far, and I'm about halfway through with this, I haven't seen it again. First of all, the act itself in the book was shocking, and I think it wanted to grab your attention right away because what was going on was shocking. Sloane walks in to her husband boinking the barmaid at the brew house that they both work at, which is his parents, her in-laws, and that changes the trajectory of her life, her job, everything moving forward right from that instant, obviously, when she finds him cheating on her. So that, I think, was to grab your attention and to realize that, yes, this is a shocking event that is going to change the way her life is unfolding and what she wants to do in the future. She decides to take a position with a local microbrewery that is just opening its doors as a way to figure out what she wants to do with her future. She has to get out of the place that she's been working side by side with her probably soon to be ex-husband, I'm going to guess, and put her life together. She has, I believe it's a 15-year-old son with this cheating spouse, and so she needs to decide what her future is going to look like. She's very talented in brewing beer, and so she definitely knows that she wants to stay with this. This is kind of an adopted family of sorts. Sloane was involved in the foster system her entire life, doesn't know her birth family, and so they have been part of a surrogate family for her, as well as the town that has pretty much adopted her. So she is kind of at a loss as to what she's going to do. She decides to help out this new microbrewer in town. His name is Garrett, and his business called Nitro. I'm really enjoying it so far. There's some yummy descriptions of food that she's working out to serve as part of the brewery. I really enjoy it. I like the way that this author writes, and so I'm definitely sucked in. It's a very fast read. I will check in with you once I finish the book. Okay, I have finished Death on Tap by Ellie Alexander. This was exactly what I needed after the debacle of the previous selection that I read this week. I have really figured out that I like Ellie Alexander's writing. She does such a great job writing cozies and delectable food descriptions that had me scrolling to see if there were any recipes in here. And unlike her other series that she has, there were no recipes, which really disappointed me and actually changed my rating a little bit for this. I was going to give it a 4.5. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4. I know it's nitpicky, but I'm going to be consistent. I knocked down another cozy for not having recipes in it, so I want to remain consistent in the way that I am rating these for myself. But yeah, this was a great mystery. The other thing about it that kind of knocked it down a little bit for me was that I knew exactly who the killer was pretty early on. I guessed it, and I think it was pretty obvious. Yes, I read a lot of mysteries, but I'm pretty sure that most people would have been able to guess this as well. And it was pretty easy to figure out what was going on. I really liked the relationships here between Sloane and her in-laws. I liked that there was no romance going on since Sloane had just walked in on her husband cheating on her with a barmaid at the at the brewery that they both work at. So I wouldn't have liked to have seen a romance. I think there's hints of one that might, happen down the line. But at this point, she hasn't made a decision as to what she's going to do with the rest of her life, if she's going to even divorce this husband of hers. And so, it would have been a little bit hasty, obviously, for that to happen. She's trying to figure out her career. I really like how the Krause family had been treating her and embraced her as one of their own, as the daughter that they never had. The ending was really good. It leaves some room for the next installment of this series with some unanswered questions. And of course, like I said, there is a hint that there could be a potential romance in the future. I really liked this. I will definitely be picking up the next book in the series. I'm going to figure out how I can slide it in to an upcoming TBR very soon. Again, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 4-star, and I highly recommend all of the cozies from Ellie Alexander, at least the 2 series, I should say, Bake Shop, I believe it is, or the Bakery series, and this Sloane Krause mystery series. So that'll do it for St. Patrick's Day week. I'm kind of glad. It's been difficult trying to find, I've been trying to wear green, obviously, this week, if you couldn't tell, and I pretty much have tapped out on green for the week. We having to wear a different color, of course, and I have an exciting week on tap. Woo, I had to work that in there. On tap for the next week. I am going to be reading through some of the items that I have picked up from my local library, things that looked good to me that I have put on hold, and I want to catch up on reading them. I have 3, I think, thrillers or mystery, mystery type thriller suspense novels. I'm not sure exactly what category they fall into, and 1 vampire smut. That's the only way I can describe it, so that'll be interesting, I'm sure, to hear my thoughts on that one. We'll see if I pick up anything else over the course of the week to report back on, but I'm excited to start diving into those and giving you my thoughts. I hope you all had a wonderful and safe St. Patrick's Day, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.